Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. I am Anime Octopus, and today we begin a brand new fanfiction journey where worlds collide in the most unexpected way. What happens when Naruko steps into the Avatar world? A world filled with elemental bending, ancient secrets, powerful enemies, and a destiny far greater than anyone could imagine. In this story, friendships will be tested, battles will reshape nations, and legends will rise once again. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This channel is created purely for entertainment and discussion purposes. I do not own any anime footage, music, or visual content used in the videos. Full rights and credits belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. Now, prepare yourselves for an epic crossover adventure. Let's begin. Naruko Uzumaki opened her eyes to the sight of long black hair spread softly across the pillow. A warm and genuine smile appeared on the blonde kunoichi's face. It was not one of the cheerful masks she used to wear during her early academy days to hide her loneliness. This smile was real. Naruko wrapped her arms around the girl beside her. Kintsuchi snuggled closer against Naruko's chest, causing the blonde ninja to smile even wider. Kin had pale, fair skin and very long black hair tied near the end with a violet-blue ribbon. Her dark eyes shimmered gently in the morning light. She wore an oversized black shirt with the words Ramen-sama printed across the front. The shirt nearly swallowed her small frame. Kin looked up at Naruko with a soft smile and gently traced her fingers over the whisker-like marks on Naruko's cheeks. When they first met, Kin had thought the marks were scars, but she later learned they were simply part of Naruko's unique appearance. Ever since then, she had found them comforting. Naruko let out a quiet, sleepy hum as Kin brushed her fingers along her cheeks. The sound made Kin giggle. "Good morning, Naruko-chan," Kin said warmly. Naruko grinned. "Morning, Kin-chan." The two shared a quick kiss before settling comfortably beneath the blankets. "So," Kin asked curiously, "how did your mission go?" Naruko rubbed the back of her head proudly. "It went really well. Thanks to Uro-senen's training, we managed to help seal Isabu safely. We also rescued Guran and Yukimaru. And Granite Tsunade finally promoted me to Chonin." Kin's eyes widened with excitement. "I knew it!" she exclaimed happily before wrapping her arms around Naruko's neck in celebration. "You deserved that promotion ages ago. You work harder than almost anyone I know." Naruko laughed shyly. "Thanks, Kin-chan." After a moment, Naruko tilted her head. "What about you? How's your training with Yugao-sensei going?" Kin's smile faded slightly, though she still leaned comfortably against Naruko. "The mission went well. But we discovered something sad." Naruko immediately noticed the change in her voice and gently brushed a hand through Kin's hair. "You can talk about it if you want," she said softly. Kin nodded slowly. "We explored one of Orochimaru's old hideouts. It had been abandoned for years. We found records showing he used the place for dangerous experiments long ago." Naruko's expression became serious. Kin continued quietly, "There were many people who suffered there. Yugao-sensei said we should remember them and make sure nothing like that ever happens again." Naruko hugged her carefully. "Then we'll keep protecting people together." Kin looked up at her. "Even against Orochimaru and Sasuke?" Naruko's blue eyes softened. "I still believe people can change," she answered honestly. "But no matter what happens, I'll never stop protecting my friends." Kin wiped at her eyes and smiled faintly. "That's the thing I admire most about you, Naruko-chan." For a few quiet moments, the room stayed peaceful. Morning sunlight slipped through the curtains while the Hidden Leaf Village slowly woke outside. Naruko rested her chin gently atop Kin's head. "No matter how difficult things get," she said, "we're not alone anymore." Kin smiled warmly against her shoulder. And together, the two kunoichi welcomed the beginning of a brand new day. Kakashi hurried back toward the village gates, rainwater splashing beneath his sandals as he carried Naruko carefully in his arms. Her horse trotted closely beside him, breathing heavily from exhaustion. There's nothing else we can do right now, Kakashi said quietly to himself. Naruko must come first. As he raced through the storm, his thoughts felt heavy. Sensei. Obito. I'm sorry, he thought sadly. I should have protected her better. For a long while, the only sounds were the soft patter of rain, the rushing wind, and the steady rhythm of Kakashi's footsteps. Then, almost magically, the rain stopped. Clouds slowly drifted apart as Kakashi reached the village entrance. Many villagers had gathered there anxiously, waiting for news. Some hoped to see their loved ones return safely, while others worried deeply about cheerful young Naruko, whose bright smile had touched so many hearts. The moment Kakashi stepped into view carrying the injured girl, shocked gasps spread through the crowd. Hinata covered her mouth with trembling hands as tears filled her eyes. Sakura and Ino stared in horror, unable to believe how pale and weak Naruko looked. Tsunade and Shizune froze with concern, while Kurenai, Asuma, and Might Guy all looked deeply troubled. Ken rushed forward immediately, tears streaming down her cheeks. Naruko! She cried. Without hesitation, she gently took Naruko into her arms, not caring that her clothes became stained from mud and blood. She held her friend tightly, her voice shaking. Please be okay. Kakashi reached out carefully, trying to help, but Kin stepped back protectively. Don't touch her right now, she said firmly, her eyes full of fear and worry. Tsunade quickly stepped forward, snapping herself back into focus. Kin, she said calmly but urgently, give Naruko to me. We need to get her to the hospital immediately if we want to save her. Kin hesitated for only a moment before nodding. Carefully, she passed Naruko into Tsunade's arms. I'm trusting you, Kin whispered. You have my word, Tsunade replied. In an instant, Tsunade and Shizune hurried toward the hospital, followed closely by several medical ninja. Kin watched them leave before turning toward Kakashi. Hurt and frustration filled her expression. I hate seeing her like this, she said softly before running after the others. At the hospital, Tsunade and Shizune worked tirelessly to heal Naruko's injuries. She's suffering from severe chakra exhaustion, Tsunade explained while focusing her healing chakra. She also has broken bones, burns, and dangerous blood loss. We need to stabilize her immediately. Shizune nodded quickly, fighting back tears. We'll save her, she said determinedly. The medical team worked together for hours. Slowly, Naruko's breathing became steadier. Her heartbeat strengthened little by little. Finally, after many exhausting hours, Tsunade stepped out of the hospital room. She looked tired, but relieved. She's going to recover, Tsunade announced gently. Everyone waiting outside let out relieved sighs. You may see her, Tsunade continued, but quietly. Her body still needs rest. Kakashi, Sakura, and Kin carefully entered the room. Naruko lay peacefully beneath warm blankets, connected to several medical machines. Though still pale, she looked far more comfortable than before. Kakashi stepped closer, but before he could say anything, Kin gently placed a hand in front of him. She needs peace right now, Kin said quietly. Kakashi lowered his head respectfully. You're right, he admitted. For a moment, silence filled the room. Then Sakura looked down sadly. We should have noticed how much pressure Naruko was carrying, she said softly. She always tried to protect everyone else first. Kin nodded. She cares about everyone so much, Kin replied, brushing a strand of hair away from Naruko's face. Even when she's hurting herself. Kakashi looked at Naruko peacefully resting in bed and felt a deep ache in his heart. She's one of the bravest ninja I've ever known, he said quietly. As the moonlight shone gently through the hospital window, the room finally felt calm again. And while Naruko rested peacefully, surrounded by people who cared for her, everyone silently hoped for the day her bright laughter would once again fill the village streets. Kin stared at the small tear in Naruko's jacket and let out a worried sigh. Even after everything they had been through, Naruko still found ways to rush headfirst into danger to protect others. Naruko noticed Kin's serious expression and laughed softly. I still can't believe you argued with Kakashi-sensei and Sakura earlier, she said with a grin. Kin folded her arms and lightly tapped Naruko on the shoulder. And I still can't believe you're laughing about it. Ow, Naruko said dramatically, rubbing her shoulder while pretending to pout. You're stronger than you look, Kin-chan. Kin shook her head with a small smile before standing and stretching. Come on, sleepyhead. We should get dressed before breakfast gets cold. Naruko nodded quickly. Right behind you. As Kin walked toward the kitchen, Naruko smiled to herself. Living peacefully like this felt rare for a shinobi, and she treasured every quiet moment with her friends. Inside her mind, the nine-tailed fox spoke up. You seem unusually cheerful today, the fox remarked. Naruko crossed her arms. What's wrong with being happy? Nothing, the fox replied. It's just strange seeing you calm for once. Naruko laughed quietly while pulling on her new outfit and tying her black forehead protector into place. The fox huffed. At least you finally stopped wearing only bright orange. Naruko raised an eyebrow. Hey, orange is a great color. For festivals, maybe, the fox teased. Not for sneaking around as a ninja. Naruko could not help smiling at the playful argument as she headed into the kitchen to prepare breakfast. Soon the warm smell of eggs and rice filled the room. Kin stepped inside wearing her neatly pressed shinobi outfit and smiled brightly. That smells amazing. Naruko placed 2 bowls on the table. I've been practicing. The two sat together and began eating breakfast peacefully. So, Kin asked, were you talking to the fox again? Naruko nodded. Yeah. She can be annoying sometimes, but she's helped me understand a lot about myself. Kin tilted her head curiously. Like what? Naruko thought carefully before answering. I used to believe I had to carry every burden alone, she said softly. But now I know trusting people is important too. Kin smiled warmly. That sounds more like the Naruko I know. Just then, a knock echoed through the house. Naruko and Kin exchanged confused looks before opening the door. 3 Anbu ninjas stood outside. The Hokage requests your presence, one of them said calmly. Naruko blinked in surprise. Both of us? The Anbu nodded. A few moments later, Naruko and Kin arrived at the Hokage's office. Many shinobi were gathered inside, and the room felt unusually tense. Tsunade looked at them seriously, though there was concern in her eyes. Kin, Naruko, she began, important information has reached the village. Until we understand the situation fully, we need both of you to remain under supervision. Kin stepped forward quickly. You think I did something wrong? We are not making accusations, Tsunade replied firmly. But we must protect the village while we investigate. Naruko frowned. There has to be some mistake. Jiraiya placed a hand on her shoulder. Naruko, sometimes even friends must wait patiently for the truth to come out. Naruko looked around the room. Everyone seemed worried rather than angry. Kin lowered her gaze. So? What happens now? You will stay in a secure guest quarters for the time being, Tsunade explained. No one will be harmed, and you will both be treated fairly. Naruko immediately moved beside Kin. Then I'm staying with her. Tsunade sighed, though a faint smile crossed her face. I expected you'd say that. The tension in the room eased slightly. As the Anbu escorted them from the office, Naruko glanced at Kin and gave her an encouraging smile. No matter what happens, Naruko said confidently, we'll face it together. For the first time since entering the office, Kin smiled back. Hours passed after the strange events in the village, and Naruko's mind still felt cloudy and confused. The last thing she remembered clearly was Jiraiya placing a powerful seal on her to calm the wild chakra inside her. The sensation had hurt terribly, reminding her of another painful sealing technique she had experienced long ago. Yet the pain was not what troubled her most. What frightened her was waking up somewhere unfamiliar. Naruko slowly opened her bright blue eyes and looked around. She was not inside a prison cell like she expected. Instead, she found herself in the village meeting hall. The room looked different from usual. Chairs had been moved aside, Anbu guards stood silently near the walls, and many important shinobi were gathered together. As Naruko tried to sit up, she heard the rattle of metal. Chains wrapped around her wrists and ankles, holding her safely in place. What in the world is going on? Naruko cried in confusion. Nearby, another voice answered her. Naruko-chan. Naruko quickly turned her head and saw Kin sitting a short distance away. Kin looked frightened, but relieved to see her awake. Kin-chan. Naruko called out. Are you okay? Don't worry, I'll get us out of here somehow. She tugged against the chains with all her strength, but they would not move. Kin shook her head gently. Please stop, Naruko-chan. You'll only hurt yourself. Naruko paused. Even in such a frightening moment, Kin's calm voice helped her settle down. Okay, Naruko said quietly. I'll stop. But only because you asked me to. Kin smiled softly through watery eyes. Thank you, she whispered. And? Could you look at me for a moment? I want to remember your smile. Naruko blinked in surprise before giving her warmest grin. Kin-chan, she said carefully, there's something I want to tell you too. Kin nodded. I'm really glad I met you. Tears rolled down Kin's cheeks, but her smile grew brighter. I'm glad I met you too, Naruko-chan, Kin replied. You showed me kindness when I felt completely alone. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. No matter what happens next, I'll always treasure our friendship. Naruko felt tears gathering in her own eyes. Nothing bad is going to happen, she insisted. Once we figure this out, we'll clear everything up together. Kin lowered her eyes thoughtfully. Maybe, she said gently. But even if things are difficult right now, promise me something. Naruko listened closely. Promise that you'll keep moving forward for your own happiness too. Not just for everyone else. Naruko slowly nodded. I promise. The room became quiet after that. Even the stern faces of the village leaders softened slightly as they watched the two friends speaking honestly with one another. Far away from that moment, deep within a strange realm of endless shadows, Naruko suddenly awoke from the memory. She sat alone in darkness, staring into the quiet emptiness around her. That dream again, she murmured softly. The years had passed like drifting clouds, yet she could still remember every word Kin had spoken to her. Naruko closed her eyes and let out a long breath. I still wonder what you would think of me now, Kin-chan, she said quietly. I hope, wherever you are, you found peace. A faint light flickered somewhere in the darkness ahead of her. Naruko stood slowly, her expression calmer than before. This place may hold me for now, she said, but I won't stay lost forever. Someday, I'll find my way back to the light. And with that hopeful thought, Naruko continued walking through the darkness, searching for the path that would lead her home. Naruko stared quietly into the endless shadows of her prison. The silence around her had lasted for many years, yet her spirit remained unbroken. Most people might have lost hope in such loneliness, but Naruko Uzumaki, known long ago as the last shinobi, still carried a spark of determination deep within her heart. She folded her arms and let out a soft sigh before smiling faintly. One day, these walls will open, she whispered. And when they do, I'll finally see the world again. Though she had spent many years sealed away, Naruko's mind stayed sharp and curious. Through the faint whispers of the wind and the echoes of distant voices, she had learned much about the world beyond her prison. She heard stories of a young avatar who was meant to restore balance and peace during a troubled age. Naruko tilted her head thoughtfully. A new avatar, she murmured. I wonder what kind of person she is. Long ago, Naruko had once been a cheerful girl who dreamed of being accepted by everyone around her. She lost her parents when she was only a baby, and many villagers feared the mysterious power sealed inside her. Even so, she never stopped trying to smile. She trained hard, protected her friends, and believed kindness could change even the coldest hearts. But life had not always been easy. Over the years, Naruko faced many hardships. Friends drifted away, trusted allies made painful mistakes, and great wars left scars upon the world. Yet through every challenge, she refused to let sadness turn her cruel. Deep inside, she still remembered the warm lessons taught by the people who once cared for her. Especially her old teacher, Jiraiya. People can always choose a better path, he used to tell her. For a long time, Naruko struggled to believe those words. Anger and loneliness sometimes clouded her heart, especially after seeing so much fear and division in the world. Yet during the quiet years inside her prison, she slowly began to understand something important. Hatred only created more hatred. The world outside had already suffered enough from endless fighting and fear. Naruko realized that if she ever became free again, she did not want to become a symbol of destruction. She wanted to become something else entirely. A protector. Far above her hidden prison, the world continued to change. Nations rose and fell. New heroes appeared. Children laughed beneath bright skies while travelers crossed mountains and seas. Though Naruko could not see any of it herself, she imagined those peaceful moments carefully, holding on to them like tiny lights in the darkness. One evening, she sensed something unusual. A gentle breeze flowed through the cracks of the ancient seal surrounding her. Along with it came a warm, calming energy unlike anything she had felt in years. Naruko opened her eyes. For the first time in a very long while, she smiled not with bitterness, but with hope. Maybe, she said softly, this world still has a chance after all. Naruko knew it was only a matter of time before she escaped the strange prison that held her. She had always found a way to break free, no matter how impossible the challenge seemed. Deep in her heart burned a powerful determination, bright and steady like a lantern in the dark. One day, she would continue the journey she had begun so many years ago. Yet as she sat alone with her thoughts, she realized something important: the world did not need more anger or destruction. What it truly needed was understanding, kindness, and courage. Her thoughts drifted far away from the lonely prison walls and back to a simpler time, when she was still a cheerful young Genin with dreams bigger than the Hokage monument itself. Flashback. Naruko remembered those days clearly. The final round of the Chunin exams was only a few days away, and she was preparing to face Neji Hyuga, the talented prodigy of the Hyuga clan. She wanted to prove herself, not through force, but by showing that hard work and hope could stand beside natural talent. She had promised Hinata that she would give the match everything she had, and Naruko never broke a promise. Alongside her training with Jiraiya and Hayate, Naruko had also been studying a mysterious scroll Hayate had entrusted to her. The old scroll was large and worn with age, and across its surface was the kanji for sacrifice. Somehow, the scroll almost seemed alive, as though it carried old memories within its paper. Usually, strange things did not scare Naruko. She had faced dangerous enemies before and had always managed to stand tall. But this scroll made her uneasy in a way she could not explain. Still, curiosity won in the end. All right, Naruko whispered to herself. Hayate-sensei said I just need to pour chakra into it. She placed her hand on the scroll and carefully sent her chakra flowing into it. A giant cloud of smoke burst into the room. Naruko coughed and waved her hands through the smoke until it slowly faded away. As her blue eyes adjusted, she gasped softly. 3 figures lay before her. The first was a girl with very long black hair tied neatly with a violet ribbon. The second was a boy covered in bandages and wearing strange sound equipment on his arm. The third had spiky dark hair and looked about Naruko's age. Naruko blinked in surprise. Okay, she muttered, scratching the back of her head, this is weird, even for me. She quickly knelt beside them to make sure they were all right. The 2 boys were completely still, breathing very faintly as though trapped in a deep magical sleep. Naruko frowned with worry before turning her attention to the girl. The moment Naruko touched her shoulder, the girl's eyes flew open. She gasped sharply and scrambled backward in fear, trembling from head to toe. "Pete, please don't hurt me," the girl cried. Naruko froze immediately. She could see the terror in the girl's eyes, and it reminded her of how lonely and frightened she herself had once felt. So instead of moving closer, Naruko slowly sat down on the floor a safe distance away. She offered the gentlest smile she could manage. "Hey," she said softly, pointing to herself, "I'm Naruko Uzumaki. We met during the Chunin exams, remember? You don't have to be scared. I'm not going to hurt you." The girl still trembled, though not quite as much as before. Naruko rubbed the back of her neck awkwardly. She was not great at comforting people, but she remembered how the third Hokage had always spoken kindly to her whenever she was upset. His calm voice had made her feel safe, even on the hardest days. Maybe she could do the same for someone else. Naruko let out a quiet sigh and looked at the frightened girl with understanding eyes. "It's hard, isn't it?" she asked gently. "Feeling scared all the time?" Kin jolted upward, her coal-colored eyes wide as they locked onto Naruko's calm, ocean blue gaze. "Huh? WHWH, what are you talking about?" she stammered, still trembling. Naruko stood quietly, her expression unusually gentle compared to her usual loud and playful self. Kin found it confusing. During the exams, Naruko had been energetic and noisy, but now she felt calm, almost distant. Why is she acting different? Kin thought. Back then she was so loud and chaotic. But now? Naruko spoke softly. "Being alone. Having no one to rely on. I know how much it hurts. I know what it feels like to not know who you can turn to." Kin's expression hardened. "How dare you say that?" she snapped, voice rising. "How could someone from the Leaf Village understand me? You live in a place full of warmth and people." Naruko's eyes softened with sadness. "You're wrong. I'm not like everyone else. I don't have a family or a clan waiting for me at home. I grew up alone. Even when people smile at me, I still go back to an empty place. I know loneliness more than I want to." Her words settled in the air like falling leaves. Kin's anger faltered. Slowly, her shoulders dropped. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I thought everyone in your village had it easy." Naruko gave her a small, understanding smile. "It's okay." After a pause, Naruko asked gently, "So, why were you and your teammates involved with that scroll?" Kin hesitated, then sighed. "I suppose I can tell you. Things are already complicated for me." Her eyes lowered. "My village is ruled by a very strict leader. He gave us missions that I never fully understood. Dangerous missions that made me uncomfortable. And when we failed, we were treated as if we were disposable." Naruko's expression tightened with concern, but she stayed quiet, listening. Kin continued, voice shaky. "We were sent after someone from the Hidden Leaf. It was supposed to be a mission. But it felt wrong. And now I'm being watched. I don't think I can go back safely." Naruko blinked, clearly unsettled, but she didn't step away. "That's not right." Kin looked up at her, eyes tired. "What am I supposed to do? If I run, I'll be found. If I stay, I'll be controlled. I don't have anywhere safe to go." Naruko placed a hand over her chest, thinking for a moment before speaking firmly. "Then come with me." Kin froze. "What?" "You can come to the Leaf Village," Naruko said with steady confidence. "You'll have to speak with our Hokage, but I know she'll listen. You don't have to face everything alone." Kin shook her head slightly. "Why would you help me? You don't even know me." Naruko smiled brightly. "Because I know what it's like to feel alone. And because you deserve a chance to be safe too." Kin stared at her, unsure. But something in Naruko's warmth made her chest feel lighter. "Okay," she finally said, softly. "Take me to your Hokage." Naruko grinned. "Got it." Together, they arrived at the Hokage's office. The room was quiet and filled with papers neatly arranged across the desk. Sitting behind it was the third Hokage, an older man with a calm presence and kind but thoughtful eyes. He looked up as they entered, taking in Naruko and Kin with steady attention. Naruko stepped forward, still holding Kin's hand. "Hokage-sama, I want to talk to you about someone who needs help." The aged Hokage lifted his head from the mountain of paperwork covering his desk. He had been working for hours when a familiar blonde genin stepped into the room, accompanied by a kunoichi from Otogakure. In Naruko's hands was a medium-sized scroll. Hiruzen's expression softened into a warm, grandfather-like smile. "Hello, Naruko, Tsuchi-san," he greeted gently. "I'm a bit surprised to see you here, Naruko. I thought you would be spending the next few days practicing." Naruko rubbed the back of her head with a slightly nervous grin. "Normally I would, but there's something important we need to tell you." "I see," Hiruzen replied kindly. "What would you like to share, Naruko?" Naruko glanced toward Kin Tsuchi. Kin nodded in understanding. She then stepped forward and bowed respectfully. "Hokage-sama," Kin said carefully, "what I must say should only be heard by you." Hiruzen gave a small nod. With a subtle signal, the Anbu guards who had been quietly present stepped back and withdrew from the room, ensuring privacy. The Hokage's expression shifted, still calm, but now firm and focused. "My guards are gone. You may speak freely, Kin Tsuchi." Kin took a breath. At first, she seemed uneasy, her hands trembling slightly. Naruko gently placed a reassuring hand near her, offering a steady smile. Encouraged, Kin straightened her posture. "I wish to leave Otogakure and pledge my loyalty to Konohagakure," she said with determination. "And I have important information that may help protect the village." Hiruzen studied her carefully, sensing sincerity in her words. "What information do you bring?" Kin continued, her voice growing steadier. "There are concerning plans being discussed in my former village. A man named Orochimaru is involved, and there are signs that he may be influencing events in hidden ways. I also believe there are people inside Konoha who may be acting as spies." Naruko listened closely, her expression serious but calm. Kin went on, explaining what she knew about unusual techniques being studied, as well as unsettling rumors of plans tied to the upcoming events of the Chunin exams. She spoke carefully, focusing on what she had personally observed or heard, without exaggeration. Hiruzen's eyes narrowed slightly in thought as he absorbed the information. After a long pause, he exhaled softly. "This is important information," he said at last. "Thank you for trusting Konoha with it, Kin Tsuchi. Your courage in coming forward matters." Kin lowered her head in relief. Hiruzen's tone remained steady but kind. "Given your past affiliation, there will need to be a formal review process with the Intelligence and Security Division. However, your willingness to help will be taken into account." Kin nodded. "I understand, Hokage-sama." Naruko smiled brightly, breaking the tension in the room. "You did really well coming forward, Kin. I'm glad you told him." For the first time, Kin seemed to relax just a little, as if a heavy weight had been lifted. "That's not fair, old man. She told you everything she knew. Why is she being taken for interrogation?" Naruto shouted in disbelief. Hiruzen's expression softened with quiet concern. "Naruto-kun, I understand your worry about your friend. She wants to leave Orochimaru's influence, and that is important. But there are rules created by the second Hokage, Tobirama Senju, to keep everyone safe. In time, she will be safe in our village's care and protection." Naruto was about to protest again when Kin gently squeezed her hand. The gesture made her pause. "It's okay, Naruto," Kin said with a calm smile. "I knew this might happen. Don't worry. We'll see each other again." Naruto nodded slowly, trusting her feelings more than her words. She forced a bright grin. "When this is over, I'll take you to the best ramen shop ever. Databayo." For the first time in a long while, Kin smiled truly and warmly. "I can't wait," she said softly, holding on to that hope. And in that moment, something fragile but real grew between them, hope that things could still get better. Dash. Flashback, end. Deep inside a quiet underground cave system, a young earthbender girl wandered through the stone halls. Her name was Toph Beifong, a confident and gifted child who could sense the world through the vibrations of the earth. Toph stomped her foot in frustration, sending a ripple through the ground. "Ugh, why does everyone treat me like I can't handle things myself?" she muttered. Normally, she loved the caves. The earth felt like home to her, steady, strong, and honest. But today her mood was restless. She sent a small wave of earth forward with a quick motion. The ground responded instantly, shifting and forming shapes under her control. But then she paused. Something unusual echoed back through the stone. "Huh?" Toph tilted her head. "That doesn't feel like rock." Curious, she stepped forward carefully, sensing a strange structure ahead, something old and carefully protected, like a sealed chamber rather than natural stone. It didn't feel dangerous. It felt deeply mysterious. Toph placed her hand on the structure. A soft pulse of energy passed through the ground, surprising her. Instead of fear, she felt a strange warmth, like something had been waiting a very long time to be found. With a gentle shift of her power, the sealed chamber opened, not with destruction, but with careful respect for the earth around it. Inside, a young girl slowly sat up. She had bright blonde hair and calm blue eyes, and she looked around in wonder, as if waking from a very long sleep. She noticed Toph immediately. "You helped me?" the girl asked softly, her voice filled with relief and curiosity. "I'm Naruko." Toph crossed her arms, still focused but no longer tense. "Yeah. I guess I did. And you're not trapped anymore?" Naruko smiled gently, taking a careful breath as she looked around at the open space. "It feels peaceful here." Toph smirked slightly. "Good. Because I don't like places that feel anything less than honest." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The cave felt different now, not empty or strange, but like the beginning of something new. And in that quiet underground world, two very different girls had just begun an unexpected friendship. Dear YouTube family, that's all for now. Thanks for staying till the end and being part of this journey. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support truly keeps this going. Until next time. Regards, Anime Octopus.